Yesterday, I met a big fat dog named Piggy. He was living his best life.
Oh, Piggy. Have to vacate my place in 30 days, making it the 4th move in 3 years. As a friend says, living the gypsy life.
You really are, gypsy girl. I got carded the other day. He looked at my ID and said, ha, wow, you look great.
Went on a weekend getaway to chill. My sister got sick and the electricity went out.
Have such a good day. And welcome to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just that.
And you.
We're like Uncle Sam. We want you to have
finger
such a good
pointing
day.
everywhere.
That's right. Did you ever watch The Muppet Show with Sam the American Eagle?
Yeah. I think I had a Muppet Show like T-shirt or something.
I had a Muppet. I had. We're just gonna go right into some of this weird
Diving
stuff
right
that
in.
Heather and I talk about it every show. I had 2 Muppet Show cassettes, and they were basically just cassette tapes. Mm-hmm. They were basically just audio versions of a show, you know, front and back. And they were 2 shows, but for whatever reason, I had them and. My parents and I used to have a Volkswagen bus, you know, that had like the pop top, you know, where you could like sleep in it. And the whole, you know,
those were the best.
There was a little fridge in there, and so like we
Westphalia.
Not
one of those. Okay.
I think it was pre.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was old.
You're pretty
it was
old, Sarah.
It was 60s era. Well, maybe. No, it was 60s era.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, but we did a lot of road trips because we lived in Oregon and we were coming to Los Gatos all the time to hang out with my grandma and, you know, the rest of my family. And so, you know, it's long trips. But we listened to The Muppet Show, those 2 cassettes, over and over to the point where I'm like, I was a little kid, so I was like, yay, I love the song. It's so funny. You know, like Sam the American Eagle is going to, you know, be part of this next song. The fact that my parents just dealt with that, because this is not a kid with headphones on. There were no such thing. This was like you put a cassette in the, you know, in the tape deck in the bus, and we all listened to it. And then when it's over, I'm like, again, and then we listen to it again.
That's why, I mean, parents unconditionally love their kids.
Man,
so,
I'm telling you.
That's funny. That reminds me of, I had this Sesame Street record. It did the same thing, but it was in the house because I had a little record player. I actually I tried to find this record. It was something that just, it really defined my childhood. It was like one of the most, it had like Lemon Tree, very pretty, and like all these, you know, Peter, Paul and Mary, and like all these really happy kid songs on it.
Yeah.
Was
it like the best of stars who have been on Sesame Street type thing?
Maybe. I can't remember exactly
Show
what
was
it
always kind of the same way. It was like, it was a star that an adult would like.
Oh yes.
A kid didn't really care.
Like Paul Simon. Or,
like I don't know, James Taylor is on the Muppet Show. Like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
I just want Muppets.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and the God, I'm trying to think of some of the other songs, but they were like, they really sort of, they were like the foundation of my childhood. Like, I still think of those songs, still get in my head. They're like earworms, you know. But anyway, yeah, that I gotta find that record because I would love to go down memory lane.
Sarah Lane. Yes, Sarah Lane. Yes, memory lane. Anything Lane. I've heard it all, Heather. Before we move on, when I mentioned Sam the American Eagle, for anybody who's not familiar with the Muppet Show, Sam was a bald eagle, and his whole shtick was that he was very proud to be American.
Oh yes,
he was the symbol of Americana, and he did not deign to, you know, do anything beneath his stature. And there was a song on one of the Muppet Show tapes where Ralph, the dog, who was, you know, prolific piano player. That was his whole thing.
I loved Ralph.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, and he had like curly ears, and he was
so cute.
And he was just cool.
He was a rocker. He was rock and roll.
He was a cool dude.
He was.
He and Sam were doing a duet, and it was about. This is so weird. Look, I swear to God, this is a real song. You can look it up on the internet. It's about a bird called the Dicky Bird. And the Dicky Bird, the song that he sings is Titwillow, Titwillow, Titwillow. And so the whole thing was that Ralph was like, Sam, you're going to play the part of the Dicky Bird, you know, and Sam was like, I am like, no, I'm too good to play a dicky bird. I'm not going to say this, you know? And so they have this sort of like back and forth, and he sort of begrudgingly decides to, you know, just like be part of it. So it's like, you know, Ralph is like, la, 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 and it's like, Titwillow.
You know, that sounds vaguely familiar. I've probably seen that.
Well, I mean, it's a Muppet Show sketch.
Oh, man, I missed the Muppet Show. That was so great.
It was so great. I know.
If this is new to you guys, we are the show where two ladies unpack the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment and for ours. Frankly, you know, this often uplifts our day. Don't you think, Sarah?
It does. This is, I mean, if you are joining us for the first time, and you might be like, wow, where's this show going? Heather and I never really know ourselves.
We like to meander.
But what we do like to do is gather a bunch of stuff that we sort of gathered over the last week and change.
Stuff that we think is cool or funny.
Yeah,
neat.
or worthy of conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a little debate. And here we are. However, the overarching theme of the show is that, you know, let's all laugh at this a little bit more.
Yep.
You know, because
being an
life
adult
is
can be
hard as heck.
Sort of challenging at times. You know, every day, you know, just like getting up and brushing your teeth sometimes. Man, you got to brush your teeth a lot. Twice a day, if not 3.
I'm going to admit something. I didn't brush my teeth last night when I went to bed. I was that
Did you
tired.
Floss?
No.
See, I have that
I didn't
same
do either
problem.
of those things, and that's disgusting. But I get it. Couldn't deal.
I actually get it because there's nights where I'm so tired and I try to wash my face and brush my teeth or try to get all of those things done, take my makeup off like as early as possible if I'm going to be home for the rest of the night, because I know when it starts hitting 10 o'clock, I'm going to start getting so tired I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But we're kind of sweating balls out here today. It's about 85. We're out on my patio.
Yeah,
you know, for
it's
one
85
of the last
and
times.
climbing. That's for sure. Yeah, it is for one of the last times. We're gonna be out here next
unpack
week.
That a little later.
But yeah, I mean, as Heather mentioned earlier in the show,
I'm a gypsy.
You're a gypsy, and you're moving,
floating around.
And this deck is not long for this world.
I know, and you know, I got to tell you, like, there are some great things about this place, as I've talked about, but this deck, this is the by far the thing I'm going to miss, and I'm not going to really have an outdoor space at my new place. I'm going to be sort of winging it for a couple months. I'll talk a little bit more about it. But I wanted to mention the bonus topic for today's show.
Yes. You know, and for anybody who's like, bonus topic, what's that? If you are a patron of ours, if you are a patron of $5 per month or more at any level, $5.
You know who you are.
$5 and up. Yes, you know who you are. Our show is extended. So once the show ends for everybody else, we just keep on going.
And you know, it could be anything. I mean, it's a hodgepodge. I mean, we did a lot of serious discussions for a while. We're kind of trying out some games because it's just fun. Really, it's just content that leads to conversation.
Yeah.
You know, so we try to find little trigger points like what would be fun to talk about. So this episode, we're going to do a game called Fact or Fiction. And this isn't personal. This isn't about personal fact, truth, lie, that kind of thing. It's obscure life facts or myths about things in the world. I'm going to rattle them off to Sarah this time. Okay. We'll do an episode where she reciprocates.
We'll flip.
Yeah, and she has to tell me if it's fact or fiction. And then I'm going to tell her if she's wrong or if she's right.
Okay.
It'll be super fun.
All right, so that's our bonus topic coming up a little bit later in the show for patrons. Again, if you're new to this whole thing, Patreon, patreon.com/havesuchagoodday is where you can find out more about all of our levels for patrons, of which there are many. And we're always just kind of stirring the pot in there, making sure that everybody's happy with being patrons of ours, and we thank you all in advance. But I don't know.
How's your week been, Sarah?
Well, it's been a week to remember, Heather. So
it often is.
It often is. It always is.
Mm-hmm.
It always is for various reasons. I had to go to San Francisco for work, so have to go is it was work earlier this week. And normally these trips are somewhat grueling because I got to get up real early to like be in place with my gear all set up, like 9 a.m. in San Francisco. That means I'm up at 4 a.m. right?
Yeah, easily.
To get to the airport by 6, to get on a plane and get, by 8:30, and hopefully there's no traffic in San Francisco, and, the whole thing. And I've actually, I've lamented this story to anybody who would listen over the last few days, but I'll do it again here because maybe y'all haven't heard it yet. If you haven't been in my presence, but something very weird happened. So Burbank Airport is an airport it's
like a municipal airport in a way.
It's international.
Small.
It's international.
Okay, it is international.
But it is small.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles, it's sort of like you've got LAX. That's the big one. You know, it's one of the most frequented airports in the entire world on a day-to-day basis. Then you got Burbank and you got Ontario. Those are sort of your three airports. Mm-hmm. Burbank is small. There's only 2 terminals. The terminals are like teeny tiny. There's like 1 Pete's Coffee, and like getting through TSA takes like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm, it's great.
You know, it's great. Well, on Tuesday when I was going up to San Francisco, I was kind of like, for a variety of reasons, I'd given myself a lot of time, but I was kind of, by the time I parked, because I drove, because I was only going to be there for a night, I was not like, I was sweating a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know, like I'm getting there with minutes to spare, mm-hmm. right? And like, thank goodness TSA goes quick, mm-hmm. because they're probably starting to board. Mm-hmm. When I got inside, it was pandemonium. People are screaming, old ladies are yelling, you know, there's like bags everywhere, cops everywhere, and the line for TSA was like hundreds of people long, and I'm not even kidding. Like it goes around the corner, and then you kind of like go around the corner, you're like, it goes around another corner? Like, this isn't, like, what's happening? The TSA machines were down. How did this happen to you? Like, it's like probably one in a million. I mean, how I just am curious how often that happens. I have never seen such a thing. I would think the world was conspiring against me. And apparently everybody who worked at Burbank Airport, mm-hmm. you know, TSA to sort of like, just like general airline security guards, mm-hmm. to like actual like police officers, they didn't know what was going on either. Mm-hmm. Basically just the machines just went down. And what does that mean? Well, okay. It means that somebody like me, who's got a big bag full of podcasting equipment that is, I don't check it because it's sensitive. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't have somebody throwing that bag in the corner. You know, you see how they mm-hmm. manhandle those things. Like, no, I keep that stuff with me all the time. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, they were like, well, you have to check it or you can't get on the flight. Like, you have to literally be like only yourself, like without your shoes going through TSA, and we'll pat you down and everything. But like, we can't physically check something that we scan normally. Oh my God. Can't do it, so you have to check it. Mm-hmm. Crazy. So by the grace of God, somehow, by the time, you know, the whole problem was, I was like, I'm going to miss my flight. Mm-hmm. And they were like, ma'am, don't worry. Like, everyone is on this side of TSA. Like, no one can get through TSA. The flight isn't leaving. Flight isn't going to leave empty. Sure. Like, no one's on it. Mm-hmm. So like, don't worry about that, you know, because me and, you know, some other folks that, you know, I had started to talk to were, you know, we're like, we're going to miss our flight. And they're like, the flights are grounded. God. Your flight isn't going anywhere. Getting through TSA is your main problem at this point. It took less time than I actually thought it might. I thought I might be there all day. It took about 2 hours for me to finally get on the plane. God. And the details of which are not even really interesting anymore, besides the fact that when software goes down, hardware, I don't even know what that goddamn thing was. Yeah, it's crazy. Maybe the cloud? I don't know. Yes. The cloud went down. The TSA cloud was offline, disrupting many people's flights on Tuesday morning, mine being one of them. But yeah, everybody survived. Good. I did get myself up to San Francisco, but it was it's touch and go. One of the weird, because usually, okay, so like, I can't tell you how many times like a flight has been delayed or canceled or delayed mm-hmm. and then canceled, or, you know, one of, you know, many options. That's fine. You blame the airline. Sure. Oh, you guys just aren't, you know, you're like overbooking, or you're not, you know, you're not on it. This was not that. Mm-hmm. The airlines were not at fault. Yeah. The airport was at fault. Sure. And even the TSA people are like, I mean, we don't know how to like fix the machines. Yeah, what are they going to do? I mean, you know, it's kind of like when you were setting up, you know, to record for your, you know, the job that you were on that day, and you had when you have software issues, like there's nothing you can do. Like, you're trying to fix it, but it's like, you're not a genie. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I
Or
yeah,
maybe you are. I don't know.
That's definitely not a genie, or I'd give myself many more wishes. But yes, it's true. There are definitely times, and anybody who works in any sort of like software, hardware, whatever thing with people who don't understand what they're doing.
Respect.
And I have absolutely been on the other side of that. Like, how many times have you ever been to an editor like, can you just
You're like,
fix
they're having
this?
outputting issues
And they're
or
like,
whatever, and you're just like, oh, deadlines.
Yeah, just like go get lunch, like shut up and like come back in an hour or something, that kind of thing. When it's you and someone's like, are we like close? And I'm like, I don't know.
There's
For
nothing
close.
I can do.
There's nothing I can do.
That's super stressful.
Yeah.
And it's crazy too because you specifically go to Burbank to avoid the craziness of LAX, and obviously it's closer, but it's like, man, I mean, you tried so hard to like make it easy, and then you do never know when these bombs are going to drop. I mean,
you really don't.
I mean, at least you're not that guy in the Twilight Zone, the movie, that sees the alien like, you know, burning the engines on the plane. Do you remember that Twilight Zone, the movie? I actually watched it again last night. It's classic.
I have not seen it.
It's a classic Twilight Zone episode where this guy thinks he's seeing this crazy alien on the wing of the plane. And he's kind of thinks he's going crazy. And there's lightning and thunder, and everyone's thinking, oh, that's what's, you know, breaking these engines. But it's this alien that's like putting lightning rods in the engine. It's classic. Everybody else listening will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but, great.
I'm a little
movie.
behind on my Twilight Zone. Although I do remember the movie Bridesmaids when Kristen Wiig,
Yes,
her character, she takes like, I don't know, Xanax, or she takes something to like calm her down on the plane. And she thinks she sees a colonial woman on the wing of the plane. And like,
that's right.
And like,
that's probably
flags down one of the attendants to be like, "There's somebody out there."
I wonder if
no one was out there.
It could have been a hearken to like the Twilight Zone.
Maybe,
because it's like, that's such a classic Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
But anyway, someone is cooking something outside right now, and I'm hungry.
It smells really good. There's a lovely garlicky. I don't know what
it smells
that
really
is.
good. I'm so glad it's not KFC frying up some chicken, because that is not tasty at all.
Heather doesn't like KFC all
I
that
don't like
much.
that.
No, I don't like the smell of fried chicken either.
Speaking of fried chicken, real quick, when I took a small trip with my sister up to Pacific Grove, which is a little bit north of here, and it was about a 5-hour drive. We went to a nice dinner. We ended up sharing like a risotto, and we had kind of shared some dishes. My sister ended up getting, it was like kind of a high-end place. So we got like a fried chicken that was like Mary's organic chicken. It was good. I'm not a huge fried chicken person in general, but it was like fancier. So we did it. It was good. And then at the end of the dinner, so we're at like a kind of a fancy restaurant. You know how the waiters come by at the end of your meal, and then you're going to get a dessert menu. But before you get the dessert menu, they take those little, it's like a metal thing, almost like a letter opener, and they wipe off all the crumbs into a napkin and take it away. Yeah. Well, this guy comes over at the end of our, fried chicken meal, and there's, fried chicken has big nubs like that fall off of the chicken. There's like the fried pieces, and they're like they're big. There's a lot of those on the table. He has a napkin, and he wipes them straight onto the carpet. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you literally just wiped, like, and it was like so much like food. He just like swept onto the carpet. It was the strangest. Me and my sister were like, what are you doing?
Well, and they probably have some system where it's like they just like have like a really good vacuum at the end of the night. So to them, it was probably not that weird, but to you, you're like, ew.
But normally it's like tiny breadcrumbs and like little crumbs, but these were like chunks of chicken.
Like it was just like food all over the floor.
It was funny. But anyway, so I wanted to bring up, I don't know if you've seen this. This is a new Netflix release. It's a short film by Tom York, the lead singer of Radiohead, and Paul Thomas Anderson, who's one of my favorite film directors. It's called Anima, and it's really cool. So it's a music video, but it's a little different because it's 15 minutes long. And it actually spans 3 songs of Tom York's new album. It's a solo album. And I think it's a really neat medium. So it's like, yes, it's a music video, but it's kind of more like a short film, which, you're using like this prominent like director who has vision and everything. Very cool. It's called Anima. as I mentioned, and they call it a one-reeler, and they want to kind of recall early days of filmmaking because it is kind of like a short film. Remember Thriller by Michael Jackson? That was like a short film, essentially, and it actually had some special release, when that came out. But what I wanted to talk about, I love that Netflix is trying things like that, like it's experimental, it's they can kind of do whatever they want, so why not play and experiment? It's a really beautiful video. I think you would like it. It's, I would say in a nutshell, it's like, it's sort of trying to live in a world of bleakness, trying to find beauty in all the bullshit, that kind of thing. And I related to it a lot because I feel like I've had a really good life. But the last 3 years since I've moved back to LA, I look back on those 3 years and I have been batted around. Sometimes I feel like I've been in an industrial sized dryer and I'm like banging against the walls of the dryer because I haven't been settled. Mm-hmm. I've kind of jumped from one contract to the next job contract. I've moved, I will be moving like a 5th time. Mm-hmm. And it's funny when you watch the video, you'll know what I'm saying because the choreography, the dancing is super interesting. It's like they're being pulled by strings.
Like a puppeteer.
Yeah, and they're kind of like throwing themselves around and they're kind of getting thrown around. And the subway, it's all shot in Prague. Super cool. There was, and then there's subway posters and things that say like, what happened to your dreams? And like the song lyrics are very much like, did I live my life well? Did I do everything right? Did I
this seems like something you would want to watch like on an upswing.
Sure.
Rather
yes.
than
I would agree.
Rather than, the alternative for your own life, or else you might 100%. Just like go
you
down
might
into
put
a
your
deep
head
spiral.
into your hands. But I guess anima is a term for the femaleness of a man. So Tom York has his character.
Has nothing to do with anime.
No. It's anima.
Okay.
And his character, his actual acting is very Buster Keaton. And I guess this is something that Paul Thomas Anderson wanted to do. So he's kind of like almost comical in this dark dystopian environment. Yeah. It's really cool. And it's funny. There's a woman in there who's the main woman who he's kind of partnered with, and she's pretty. I was like, who is that? She looks kind of familiar. Looked her up. She's actually Tom York's real life partner. She's an Italian actress named Dejana Roncione. Anyway, I think it's really cool. I highly recommend it.
Very cool.
That's my story.
Radiohead had an incident that I reported on for Daily Tech News Show, another podcast that I host, where they... such a strange story. Somebody had stolen a bunch of mini discs of unreleased Radiohead music.
Okay.
Just stuff that was, it was in their possession from Tom York, specifically, but, had not been released. And, mini disc is like a Sony proprietary thing, hasn't been a thing for a long time. Like, this is old stuff, like 90s era. And the thief was like, I want, it was something that was like actually not even that much money, like $150,000.
Sure.
To get all of this back. And instead, Radiohead was like, well, we have all this backed up, like, in the cloud. So we'll just go ahead and release it to the public so that you have no power. Period.
Wow.
End of story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But pretty cool.
Very cool.
Very Radiohead also.
Very Radiohead. And I think that I think he really does care about, like, the underdog. Like, he's, I think he seems like a good dude. I mean, it's hard to know because I don't know him personally, but for the stuff that
You're talking about Tom York.
Yeah, Tom York. I think he seems like a good dude.
So I've 2 people I can think of exactly both times that this happened. And, I'm not trying to call them out specifically, so no names or anything, but Radiohead is one of those, like, people are like huge Radiohead stans, or you're kind of like, I don't know, whatever. But there are 2 people that I've known in life who were like, I don't like Radiohead. Like,
I know people
who
like
likes
that.
Radiohead? Where I'm like, that's insane.
I'm like a huge fan.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
There are albums I like more than others.
Sure, of course.
Kid A, very electronic.
Yep.
That's my favorite Radiohead album.
Yep.
You might, like OK Computer better. They're very different. Might as well be 2 different
Maybe
bands.
you're a Benz person.
That's fine. Yeah, totally. But
which is really different.
But people being like, who likes Radiohead? I'm like,
I can't believe
best
it either,
people in the world
because
do.
I find them to be accessible. I mean, they're.
I mean,
they're
some of the
mainstream.
songs are so good.
Yeah.
Like
It's one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah, there's a song for everybody. But
sure.
anyway, not to bag on you if you're a Radiohead hater, but we would like to hear from you as to why
And if
you
you're
are.
listening, Tom, we love you. And
Yes, Tom York.
You're a genius.
You are.
And so are you, Paul Thomas Anderson.
That too. Yeah, both of you guys. You've done good work.
Yes.
And we would like you to remain prolific throughout the rest of your lives. Speaking of, and this is just sort of a little note before we move on, but Heather, we're into political primary season.
Oh yeah, I'm getting inundated in my inbox. I've been starting to unsubscribe on some stuff. I'm just like, this is too much.
Yeah, I actually don't. I'm an email unsubscriber in general, even for stuff that I like. I will keep up on this, but I'll keep up on it when I do it
on your own time.
I don't want email notifications.
No.
The same way I don't
Stresses
want
me out too.
Mobile notifications. No notifications ever. Drake should sing a song about that. But this is a couple weeks ago now, but the Democratic primaries. There have been some debates as of late, and many of you care a lot about this. Many of you maybe less so, but I definitely do because I'm interested in the future of our nation and the world. And
good on you, Sarah.
Thank you, Heather. Man, is it a cray town?
Oh, I don't know. Are you super up to speed on everything?
Yeah, I mean, as much as anybody would be that watched the debates.
Sure.
And understands the platform. They're not every candidate who is trying to oust the incumbent president has exactly the same talking points, but there I don't know. I mean, it's the whole thing about, and this is what it's sort of like, I hate the fact that I find it to be theatrical, because what I feel like I should do is denounce anything theatrical about it. Like it should not be theatrics.
Sure.
This isn't a joke. This is like the future. It really matters. If somebody wears something funny or says something stupid or whatever, it's like that's what we all kind of glom onto, and then it becomes memes, and that's just sort of the world that we live in now. I don't think that that's right, but it is sort of reality at this point. And there's a lot of that going on with presidential candidates. Marianne Williamson, perhaps a solid foot above the rest. I don't know if you've...
I mean, a little bit. I don't think I'm as familiar as you are.
Well, all you have to do is follow her on Twitter. She's real weird.
Okay.
Like, to the point where I'm like, I think it might just be like a troll person, like pretending that she wants to run for president because nobody is this crazy.
Hey, man, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been that's been kind of a fun thing for me to digest over the last week
that's
or
cool.
so.
I need to catch up on some stuff, but I try to stay on top of it as much as possible. But it's so much stuff to unpack. I feel like there's only so much time in the day. Sometimes I just sort of want to read about, I don't know, I want to read a book about not politics or something.
Yeah, I'm actually
this new podcast that's funny.
I'm in a Slack group where politics is one of our channels.
Oh.
And it's active. And there are days where I'm like, I'm just not even going to click into the politics channel. Like, I can't even deal with it right now. I'm busy, or I'm just like, I don't know, like my day sucks already so much. Like,
so are you in the pop culture channel a lot?
We don't have a pop culture channel. We have an entertainment channel, which kind of, that's the same idea. Yes, that channel I can deal with. But sometimes politics, I'm like, I'll get to it later. Like, I don't ignore it. I don't ignore it.
Yeah.
But there are times where I'm like, for the next 12 hours, like, I can't, whatever's in here, I can't even hear about it.
Yeah, totally.
It's going to be too upsetting.
Yeah, no, it is. And you have to just limit. I know some people who are very obsessed with politics, and that's like the majority of what they talk about.
Yeah.
And I know it gets them down. And so I try to I try to stay as informed as possible, but dip out as much as possible.
And that's a real struggle.
It is.
Right?
It is a struggle.
Because you don't, I mean, I would never want someone to be like, oh, Sarah's just like clueless and doesn't care. Like, I do care. I care very much. But I also care about my own well-being.
Yeah.
And I know that if I'm in, well, it's not just politics. Like, there are certain, I don't know, if I followed threads on eating disorders long enough, like I would get depressed about that. Like something, you know, something that it brings you down, you know, or, you know, animal abuse or that sort of thing. Politics, same way.
Yep.
I have to dip out sometimes.
You do. You have
because
to.
if I don't, I'm just like,
and
I
there's
feel
a lot
hopeless.
to keep up with too.
Yeah.
It's like it's constant. There's so many scandals. It's just, well, speaking of scandals.
Oh, all
so
right.
are you familiar with the Happy Sad Foot sign that's down the street from us on Sunset Boulevard?
No.
It's great. I'm surprised you haven't seen it. So it's like an East Side landmark. It's in Silver Lake, which is a little enclave next to Echo Park where Sarah and I live. And it's basically a foot place, a foot doctor kind of thing, but it has a sign that spins slowly around. And so as you're driving and you're stuck in traffic on Sunset Boulevard, you know, you may get the happy foot or maybe you'll get the sad foot depending on, you know, your timing. So it's like, on one side it's kind of like a sad injured foot and then there's a healthy foot. And so it's funny. So there was an article in LA Magazine. So this comedian named Charlene Yee, who I'm not familiar with, but she said, and I quote, "Legend has it that if you pass the rotating sign and you see the happy foot, you're going to have a good day. But if you see the sad foot, well, you're fucked." And pardon my French, but it's funny because I had just read this article like today, but I have a relationship with that sign ever since I've moved to the East Side. I would drive past and there was a week, I remember I was having a really tough week and I kept getting the sad and injured foot. And I'm kind of a superstitious person. I think we've talked about this on the show a little bit.
We have, yeah.
And
astrology, etc.
Yeah, and honestly, it kind of messed with me psychologically. Like when I would drive past and I'd be like, please, please, happy foot, please. Aww. And then I would get the sad foot and I'd be like, what does that mean? Am I going to have another bad day? And a lot of people, I realized opening up this can of worms that everyone else feels the same way. Like I'm not just crazy, like thinking, why am I so superstitious about this dumb sign that's just like rotating the same speed like every day? But it's so funny. So they're moving. They've been there for 40 years. So it's become kind of a landmark. There's a lot of stuff on the internet about it. There's actually T-shirts that have like, you know, happy foot, sad foot. It's a very LA landmark.
I feel so bad. Like,
no, you got to go see it now. I'll tell you where it is, and when you drive by, you'll be like, oh, it's so cute and funny. The sad foot is really depressing. He's on crutches, and it's this whole thing. So, long story short, they're moving to the Rampart Village area, which is another part of LA. So they are relocating. But with further research, I found out. So the band Yacht. There's a band named Yacht. It's all capital letters. I actually know them. I've done some work with them. Claire Evans and Jonah Bechtold. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. They're really nice people, hardcore vegans, animal lovers. They're really, really cool, like very LA people. They loved the sign so much that they made literally just recently. They have a new album and they made an official video for their latest single called Hard World. And you should watch this video. In fact, maybe I'll put it in some kind of show notes so you guys can see it. But it's an animation, and it's literally like the happy foot as an animated character, and then the sad foot with like a Band-Aid on his toe and on crutches.
And like they're talking about the same happy sad foot?
Oh yeah, it's totally based on the sign.
Thing.
It's a thing. That's what I'm saying, is it's become this pop cultural phenomenon.
That's
and I
so
didn't realize
crazy.
it. It's
like,
so
why don't
funny.
more people like photograph themselves on Instagram outside of it?
Because it's pretty high. It's like it's definitely like way up. It's like on a big pole and it's up above. Yeah, you got to go check it out. I'll give you the coordinates.
I am.
And
please do, because I am like
you're out of it, man.
I am woefully ignorant.
And I know that you've driven by 100 times. It's actually not that far from your vet.
Okay.
On Sunset. So anyway, I just think it's so funny when something becomes such a local phenomenon, and everybody's sort of like, really into this place that I don't even think half of these people have gone to get their feet fixed. It's just like more of this like fun sign.
I just want my feet massaged.
Me too. Oh,
that would make me have such a good day.
I don't even want to admit, but I get my feet massaged a lot.
Do you?
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
like a lot.
That's cool.
I know. I'm a very lucky girl. But yeah, well, we don't need to get into that.
No. Oh, I see. Oh, personal foot massage.
Yes.
Not actually going to a foot
Someone
massage
who actually
parlor.
enjoys giving foot massages.
Yeah, right. We'll leave
Not
it
like a foot fetish or anything.
We'll leave it. Yeah. We'll see. All right. So moving on. We want to take a short moment to thank our patrons. Patreon.com/have such a good day. You know who you are. If you're not a patron and you say, what the heck is going on? That is how we keep the show alive, and we need more of you.
We really do.
We would love your support. So if you haven't been before, peruse on over to patreon.com/have such a good day.
For just $1 a month, you can enjoy a lot of our BTS, which is behind the scenes videos. We do some fun things.
Not to be confused with the K-pop band.
No, definitely not. That has
that
nothing to do with it.
That is different. Although I hear they're pretty popular.
But we do have some new patrons.
Yes, we do. We're thrilled about them.
We're so thrilled. I always was like, again, it's like the ASMR. Like every time we get an email, it's like new patron, like ta-da. Brian Andrews just became a $10 patron.
Yay, Brian!
Gadget Virtuoso, who's been our patron for quite a while, edited their pledge from $5 Bala to $10 Discord.
Gadget!
And in fact, I think he popped into Discord the other day, so we were all welcoming him to the Thunderdome. And then on YouTube, we have a Moi en Noir, which is a French name. Me in Black, something like that. Yeah. Stephen at Large, who has been a patron for a while, but he's also on our YouTube. But I wanted to shout him out. He's been around for a while.
Stephen at Large. That's lovely. Well, thank
welcome
you.
Everybody.
Yes, welcome to new patrons and veteran patrons. The goal that Heather and I is to amass the coolest community ever.
The coolest.
So the more of you we have, the stronger we are.
In fact,
thank you so much for being part of our little world here.
Yeah, man. I want to mention when you say we're trying to build the coolest community. Well, I think we have the nicest community because Long Welsh, he's one of our VIP Discord guys. He lives in Wales. We have kind of a global community. We've got a lot of people from around the world, which is really cool. But he said that he feels like it's like the friendliest forum he's ever been in. So
Aww.
Super sweet.
Well, I'll be sure to just like piss all over that next time I get into Discord.
Sometimes we swear though. Apologies for that. But sometimes you just got to speak your mind.
Yeah, we've sort of addressed the profanity thing on previous episodes, and if you know me, if you all were hanging out with me right now, like Heather and I and everybody was here on Heather's deck, like that's just the way that I talk. Mm-hmm. I understand that it is bristly.
Sure, for some people it can be.
Yeah. Or if you got kids and they would like to listen to the show. I kind of feel like we're PG-13 / R-rated.
Yeah, I would say so.
Pretty much most of the time.
We try to
not that we're trying to, certainly not trying to, offend anybody. But I don't think we're G.
No, and we're not trying to swear just to like swear. It's usually more of a natural thing, and we put that we're explicit content, and hopefully it doesn't offend you guys too much. Anyway.
Yes, and if it does, I want to hear about it. At the same time, man, do you know how many shows I do that I can't swear at all? It feels so good. Yeah. To
Unleashed Sarah.
When the F-bomb when the F-bomb needs to happen, there's just no other words.
Feels good rolling off the tongue, gotta admit.
Hey, so speaking of F-bombs, oh man. So Euphoria, new HBO show. Yep. Have you been watching it?
I haven't. I've been watching the other new one, Years and Years.
Years and Years, okay.
Yeah, but tell me about it, because it seems a little young for me.
So anybody who's not watching the show or doesn't have HBO access or whatever, Euphoria is a show, on the surface it's about teenagers, and that whole sort of like, it's the same trope of like, teenagers are so crazy. They're so much crazier than their parents realize.
Yeah.
But this show is really crazy.
Is it worth? Do you think I like it?
I like it for the shock factor.
Okay, cool.
And I think
watch it.
I think that you would probably like it for that as well. It's funny because, you know, I've talked a little bit on the show, not too much. Like when we were in high school, I mean, I was not like the worst kid, but I was sort of a bad kid. And what I mean by that is like, you know, you kind of sneak around and don't always tell your parents the right thing. You get in trouble, you get grounded, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, I also had friends who were really bad kids, you know, drugs and, you know, just lots of stuff. You know, I saw a lot of stuff at a young age that I don't think a lot of kids who were 16, 17 necessarily saw. And that's just the way it went. This show is like, it's like, because I am not anyone's mother. I don't have children. And I understand that, you know, one of the scary things is like having a kid and what kind of world they're going to grow up in. And this is drama, you know, it's entertainment, whatever. But this show, you watch it and you're like, if I had a kid, a teenager who did this, you just wouldn't have kids. Yeah. Like you just, if you knew that ahead of time, like how awful it was going to be, you know, you just wouldn't. And I also think that I say that because I don't have kids, and maybe if you're a parent, you'd be like, no, it's still really worth it. And that's totally valid. And because I don't know any better. Sure. But, it is rough. And it's all sort of about, you know, it's sex and drugs and confusion and
Euphoria.
Well, the Euphoria thing is weird because it's like there is nothing euphoric that I've seen. I've only watched 2 episodes.
Is it like a Molly
focused
thing?
It isn't.
I always thought that's what it was.
No, it's worse.
Oh, God.
It's not even like fun. It's
okay,
like,
I need to watch that.
It's like hardcore.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's like ooh,
okay.
oh gosh, you know, and like other issues that are deep and disturbing.
Okay. How would you rate it, like 1 to 10?
Well, that's a good question. So a friend of mine who we're watching it, you know, together and kind of talking, she's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because Zendaya is one of, you know, she's the main character basically. And, you know, she's kind of a big deal with the younger set. And she does a really good job. There's also a trans actress who, like, it took me like 2 episodes to even realize that was the case. I'm like, oh my God, she's just like super pretty. Like I didn't even notice. But like that's actually part of the narrative, and I suspected I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
And you know, so you know, things that are very much modern
issues
with
kids and young people.
And just, you know, the show I don't think is totally making a stand about anything necessarily, but it's a tough watch in parts.
Okay. I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah, I think you'd like it, and I'd be really curious. Anybody else is watching it, if you like it, if you don't, if it offends you, because I think it probably is quite offensive.
It's funny because,
you know, to some people.
Yeah, I feel like this. So the new show, I won't talk about really much about it, but it is a lot about the future too, and about like the implications of technology and that kind of thing. This years and years, other HBO show, and I used to think like the development team at like networks like that. It's like, okay, we got to start like tackling these issues, and like they integrate. They specifically go, these are the issues that we need to integrate into a narrative show.
Yeah.
I wonder, that must be so interesting, like being part of a development team at a network like that. Cool, that sounds good. Well, you know,
thank you, Heather.
I'm gonna watch that.
Cool. Very cool show.
You know, I know that Sarah and I are a couple of the biggest cat lovers out there, and I know that probably a lot of you guys are. We know some of you have, you know, revealed your beautiful felines in Discord with, you know, your photographs and stuff. And this weekend, right now, and again, this show is going to air a little later, so you're not going to be able to go, but you can put it in the calendar for next year.
It was a couple weekends ago.
Yeah, it was the CatCon. CatCon is happening in Pasadena, and you know, I just find it so.
You got Mosho, you got Lil Bub,
you got Superhero Cat,
maybe Maru.
You know, there's some of them on here that I don't recognize, and I was going to ask you if you did, but it's interesting because they you know, they do a lot of things. They help like hundreds and hundreds of cats like find homes.
Yes.
They donate
Yes.
like, $200,000 to cat organizations.
Yes.
There's like cat cosplay. People seriously dress up as cats. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
People are very into it. Panels on cat care, cat adoption, blah, blah, blah. Meet and greets with the influencers. That's the big thing, is like the influencer thing has become, such a big deal that like, you've got like, I don't know, Sir Thomas Trueheart and Daisy. You've got Nala Cat, Pookie.
Oh, I know Nala.
Pookie Methachitifan. I don't know. There's some that I'm like, I've never heard of those. But it's funny because I was like, God, this is insane. Like, this is like, cats are one of the most popular things in the world to talk about, And I was kind of thinking like, back in the early internet days, it was one of the biggest memes, like cat memes, like Icon has cheeseburger. Like, I don't know why that nobody really talks about that kind of stuff anymore. But those lol cats were very popular. One of the most popular things.
I think it just became so prevalent that it wasn't a thing.
You're right. It was more of a...
You can reference it now and everyone gets it, rather than being like, Icon has cheeseburger.
You're right. It was a little more like novel maybe back then. But one thing I wanted to mention is I started to look up on like, where are like the most cat owners in the world? And I don't know if you know this. No, it's like, what countries are the biggest cat lovers? Yeah. And USA is like by far like and it doesn't surprise me, but there were like Russia was like second, and like Japan was on there, like Ukraine, like there were some interesting ones. And I was like, wow, I didn't dig in too much, but I thought that was interesting. But yes, most favorite pets in the USA. So I thought, cool.
I mean, it's funny. My dog has an Instagram. I don't run it. He runs it. It's completely independently run by him. But, the other day he had, an image of him trying to get in my late cat Sam's bed. And the caption was, "If it fits, I sits." That's I can't has cheeseburger.
Oh yeah,
thing.
totally.
But like I didn't need to explain that.
No.
Because everyone gets it.
It's commonplace,
which is funny. Like it's funny. Like that's like a 10-year-old thing where it's like everyone gets what I'm saying. Like no one thinks that I spelled anything wrong
unless you've lived under a rock.
Which is I don't know. Maybe somebody thought I spelled something wrong, but like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Otis wrote it. I didn't write it because I don't run that account. That's his Instagram account. So because he's an independent pup.
Yeah, he almost has fingers. He's got such big paws.
He got big paws.
But if you guys have anything to say about this cat stuff, email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com. Speaking of, we've got a couple emails to shout out. We have one from Chad. He said he just listened to episode 47 and wanted to provide some insight into the current working theory of missing socks.
Ah, yes.
Which is what we talked about
Declaring
in one of our last
bankruptcy
episodes. They can get stuck in the empty place inside the dryer, apparently. Check out Reddit for some pics, which I've got the links. If you guys are interested, I'll send them to you. The Today Show wrote a piece on it a year ago and checked in with an engineer at GE, and it's completely possible that the socks slipped through the gasket only to seemingly disappear forever. Love the show, Chad.
Chad, you're not helping. I mean, well, okay. I suppose that the socks could be gobbled up by the dryer. I suppose so.
Yeah.
I mean, we need some sort of explanation, right?
Yeah. So thanks for that. I mean, it is a good idea. And I mean, I'm thinking like, on the side of the dryer, maybe behind, like maybe you put the clothes on top just to like close, and then you're getting your bag ready and then something falls behind. But I still think there's a bigger mystery afoot. I think like maybe some rats are like running off with them or something. Anyway, thanks for writing in, Chad.
Yes. Also, Brooke from YouTube wrote in.
He sure did.
She said...
Maybe a guy, Brooks.
Brooks, not Brooke. Yeah,
might be a dude.
Brooks probably. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and guess male, but you might be female, and that's fine. Brooks said, like dogs, but I can't stand living with them. Cats are better, but can just be as bad.
Fish take more maintenance than you'd think. And birds are easiest if in a cage.
I actually thought that was a typo.
Oh, that's
I thought
funny.
He was saying like, wish they took more maintenance. So, okay. So let's start this over. So Brooke says, I like dogs, but I can't stand living with them. Cats are better, but can just be as bad. Fish take more maintenance than you think, Birds are easiest if in a cage, but they can be emotionally warped. Exotic pets are a real pain and can make others seem like a walk in the park.
I like the emotionally warped birds. I would like to hear more about your experience with emotionally warped birds.
I've mentioned this on the show, I believe. I had a cockatiel growing up for,
we had finches. Yeah, I have some experience with birds.
When did we get squeakers? I think I was in 5th grade, and he lasted about until 11th, so a solid 6 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a big part of our family for a while.
Squeakers.
And he was squeakers. Yeah, he was a cockatiel. He was a nut job. And he was adorable and weird and super amusing and humorous, and it was great. I loved him. But he was emotionally warped, for sure.
I love it.
He was from day one
Nice.
until his untimely end.
If you guys have stories about your warped animals, specifically birds as pets, please write us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com. And I think, Sarah, we are real close to doing our bonus topic here.
We are. For everybody watching or listening to the regular show, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for being with us. For $5 and up patrons, there is more to come. We're playing a game for everybody else. See you back here, same time next week. Until then, I'm Sarah.
I'm Heather.
And have such a good day.